Welcome to another episode of Fixing That Up. Today we're going to be showing how to make great fried okra. To start with here, we got some garden okra. We brought it in here and we washed it all off, and we're got a plate over here, and the plate, all it's for is just a measurement to know how many portions you want to make so you don't overdo it. We're going to start with, we're going to cut off this tip here and get down to the meat of it. We're going to cut off the end here. Alright, we got all the backs and fronts cut off of these now. We got down to the biggest pieces here. I'm going to cut all these. I know a lot of people say ½ inch, but I'm going to do all these about 1 inch. This right here is what I was talking about, how the plate will come in handy. You have a pretty good idea of the portion size. And over here we got about 2½ cups of buttermilk, straight up buttermilk. We're going to be putting all these into it, but first we're going to go ahead and add 2 eggs to the buttermilk. Whisk all that in. We are going to add 1 tablespoon of black pepper to the buttermilk, and we're going to add a pinch of sea salt to it. 1 tablespoon of the black pepper and a pinch of the sea salt. Now we're going to just go ahead and simply whisk that all around in there just to get the eggs broke. Now you can go ahead and throw in all of your okra. Like to let this okra sit for at least 30 minutes, all smothered down inside there. We're going to store it in the refrigerator with a lid over it. Okay, for the dry ingredients here, we're going to be battering them with, here we're going to be using 1 cup of cornmeal. We're going to be using 1 cup of flour. We have a tablespoon of fresh cracked pepper here, black pepper, and we have a pinch of the sea salt. We're just going to dump all that in there and mix it up really well, and we'll go ahead and pull out the okra and start mixing it in there and getting it going. Shake off the excess off of them. Throw them on in the dry mix. Mix them around. Very important with these now, when you get them the batter on here, don't just leave them sitting there for a while, because if you do, they will get all watery and slimy again, and they will stick to your fryer and each other. So do you a few, and you don't want to do very many at one time anyway in the fryer, so just do a few here. And as them are cooking, you can be battering up your next batch when they're almost ready. Now I got that heating at 375 degrees. I'm letting it pre-warm up to that. So that will be good. Just do a couple more here. I like to have the wet bowl to my right, the bowl here with the dry ingredients in the middle, and have this one close to the fryer. Now that's enough, and it's ready to go on in. So let's get them going in. Drop them down in there, and they'll only cook for, I think, around 3 to 6 minutes. You'll know when they're done. They're going to be golden brown. While that batch is cooking, we're going to go ahead and we're breading up this next batch to go in. Now the secret to this, is you will see here in a minute, is not the battering, it's not the double dipping, it's not the seasoning really. The okra is the star, it's not the seasoning. The secret to this is once they all get done with the frying, is to lay them on a plate or a rack or whatever you got that has paper towels over it, and have them not touching each other and certainly not laying all over each other. What that's going to do is make them all oily. Be very very soggy. If you keep them separated though, the best you can, they're going to stay crisp and crunchy the entire time. Even after they've gotten cold, they'll still be crunchy. That is the big key, just like French fries. Put them up there and let that drip for just a second. And I will transfer them over here to our bowl. I have a little grease trap bowl here. I use this also for fries, and I'll move them around in there for a second. I immediately bring them over here and get them to a plate. That's just to get some excess grease off initially. Make sure they're not laying all over each other. Spread them all out. That is good enough. Now we can get our next batch on. And like I said before, you do not want these to sit there and get all soggy and slimy after you've had the batter on them before. If they do, you can re-batter them, I've seen, just to get them drier again so they don't stick together and stick to the fry basket also. Alright, we'll drop them. Another big key thing is having the grease in there hot enough before you put them in there. Now I cook them on 375. I've seen a lot of people cook them on 350, but 375 seems to work perfectly for me. So I will continue that. Alright, we got our next batch ready to go in as soon as them come out. Okay, that will be our last batch. We'll spread these new ones out here so they ain't laying all over the other ones. And we're going to, as far as plating goes, we're going to do pretty much what we always do. We're going to transfer all these over into a big plate. We're going to put a Bowie knife on there, set it in the middle of the room, and we'll fight to see who gets the plate. Well, there she is. That is some extremely good tasting. I know I've already tried one. Homemade okra. Okay, for the dry ingredients here, we're going to be using 1 cup of cornmeal. We're going to be using 1 cup of the flour. We're going to be using...
What?